Welcome to the deep dive. Let's just take a second and think about ancient Babylon. You hear the name, you think massive wealth, right? Those legendary gardens, huge buildings.
Absolutely synonymous with riches.
But how? How did a place that apparently didn't have a lot of natural resources get so incredibly wealthy? Was it just pure luck, or did they know something, maybe something fundamental about building wealth that perhaps we've kind of forgotten?
Well, that idea is exactly what we're getting into today. The thought that principles from, thousands of years ago could still be super relevant. You shared some fascinating excerpts with us from The Richest Man in Babylon.
Right, this classic book, it uses these parables, stories set in ancient Babylon, that claim to hold these timeless secrets to getting prosperous.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to unpack these sources you provided, pull out the really key, actionable bits of wisdom, it's like a shortcut maybe, to understanding what the ancients knew about success with money.
And what's really striking is how, well, simple the core ideas are. It's not about complicated financial schemes or trying to predict the market or anything. No, it really boils down to basic behaviors, foundational stuff that's actually pretty easy to overlook in our, busy modern lives.
Okay, let's start there then. Paint us a picture. What was Babylon actually like, according to this text?
So the sources describe it as this real testament to human effort, to ingenuity. It wasn't sitting on gold mines. It wasn't gifted, super fertile land. Initially, they didn't even have enough water for farming. But the people, they engineered solutions. They actually diverted the Euphrates River using these huge dams, canals,
Wow.
turning basically barren land into fertile fields.
So its wealth was literally built. They made it.
Exactly. The riches were man-made. That's a key phrase. It came from that engineering, plus the citizens being smart traders, and the texts say, having wise rulers who actually encouraged prosperity.
Right.
Even those famous walls around Babylon, they were a symbol of that built strength, that protection. There's a line that really stands out. Wealth grows wherever men exert energy.
So not magic, not luck, just effort and smarts. And that leads us, I guess, to how the text views money itself.
Yeah, it's fundamental. What these Babylonian stories stress is that, okay, yes, money is a way to measure success in the world.
Sure, people see it that way.
But it's not the end goal. Not really. Money, in this view, is mainly a tool. It's a means to get freedom, to access the best things life offers: services, goods, experiences. It's about what money lets you do.
Okay, so it pushes back against that feeling some people have, that money is scarce, or it just avoids them somehow.
Definitely. The text basically says money is plentiful. It's available to anyone who just takes the time to understand its laws and, crucially, applies them.
It's about laws, not luck.
Exactly. Relying on luck. That's just being passive, accepting whatever happens. But believing money follows specific learnable laws. That gives you agency, control. It means you can shape your financial future, not just hope for a windfall.
And what does it take to get that control?
The sources say two things are essential. First, time. Everyone has time, but few really dedicate it effectively to building wealth. And second, study.
Study, like hitting the books.
Well, yes, learning the specific principles, but also learning how to find out things that aren't common knowledge, how to dig deeper.
Time and study.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're ready to take control, where's the starting line? The text seems really clear on the absolute first step.
Oh, it's the bedrock, the absolute
Yeah.
foundation. It's called the first cure for a lean purse. Start thy purse to fattening.
Okay.
And the principle is incredibly simple, almost too simple. At least 10% of everything you earn is yours to keep.
Keep, as in not spend.
Exactly. You keep it, it's yours,
Yeah.
permanently. This isn't money for bills or groceries. It's savings that stays with you.
Paying yourself first. We hear that phrase, but this sounds like the original version.
It really feels like it. And its power is in that commitment. It flows right into the second core idea, the second cure. Control thy expenditure.
Which means?
It means you have to learn to live well, live comfortably on the other 90% or even less of your income.
But that's the tricky part, isn't it? Expenses just seem to balloon to match whatever money's coming in.
Oh, the text totally gets that. It explicitly acknowledges that our necessary expenses tend to grow right along with our income unless we're careful.
Right.
But the Babylonian wisdom here is that if you consciously decide to live on that 90% or less, your lifestyle will adjust.
Yeah.
And apparently faster than you'd think. The parables say something like, before long, the person will not even be aware they are living on less.
Interesting. And what's the benefit beyond just having some money saved?
Well, Besides the obvious fact that your savings are growing, there's a huge psychological boost. You feel this sense of pride, of self-control. You see real progress.
Yeah, I can see that.
The text points out how much money flows through our hands over a lifetime saving. Even just that 10% consistently adds up to serious capital. And controlling spending forces you to distinguish between what's necessary and what's just a desire.
The wants versus the needs.
Exactly. And the sources point out even the richest people have desires they don't fulfill. It's about making conscious choices. What can I live without right now? And practically, using a budget is key to staying on track.
Okay, so save 10%, live on 90% or less, use a budget to keep it straight. Now you've got this pot of savings growing. What do you do with it? Just stick it under the mattress.
Definitely not. That brings us straight to the third cure.
Oh.
Make thy gold multiply. Saving is critical. It's at step one, but it's just the start.
Right.
The real aim is to put that saved money, that gold, out to work so it starts earning more money for you. It's about building income streams that aren't just tied to your own daily labor.
Like sending your money out to have kids, who then also go out and work.
That's exactly the image the text uses. Make the children of your savings also work for you. It's the magic of compounding.
Okay.
But as your savings start to grow, you'll suddenly find people offering you all sorts of opportunities, investment ideas.
Here comes the risk part.
Precisely. Which leads to the crucial fourth cure. Guard thy treasures from loss.
Protecting what you've built.
Yes. The number one rule for investing, according to this ancient wisdom, is protect your principal. Don't lose the money you started with.
And how do you do that?
The key is seeking advice. But not just from anyone. You need counsel from people who are genuinely competent to give it through their own experiences, people who've actually done it successfully.
Makes sense. Experience counts.
As the text says, better a little caution than a great regret. It's so true.
And this idea is really crystallized in the 5 laws of gold that you pulled from the sources, right?
Yeah.
Described as secrets that separate wealth builders.
Yes, these 5 laws really summarize the core investment philosophy.
Gold comes easily and more to those who save at least a tenth of what they earn. Simple saving attracts it.
Okay.
Second law, gold works hard and multiplies for the wise owner who finds good, profitable work for it to do. That's smart investing.
Right.
Third law, gold stays with the cautious owner who invests it based on advice from wise, experienced people. Protect your principal.
Got it.
Fourth law, gold slips away from the person who invests it in businesses or purposes they don't understand or ones not recommended by skilled investors. Stick to what you know or get good advice.
Mm-hmm.
And the fifth law, gold runs away from the person who tries to force it into impossible earnings or who follows the advice of tricksters and schemers or trusts their own inexperience and romantic desires in investing.
Romantic desires, like getting swept up in hype.
Exactly. Investing based on emotion or unrealistic hopes rather than sound judgment and experience.
Yep.
And the warnings about who to trust are quite specific.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
The texts are very practical. Avoid investing in fields you know nothing about. Be wary of projects that look like long shots. And there's this really stark warning about lending money or investing with family members.
Oh, yeah. What does it say?
It calls it a no-win situation that should be avoided at all costs. Because if it goes wrong, which it often can, it just destroys the relationship. Very blunt.
Wow. Blunt, but probably wise. Any other red flags?
Yeah, be cautious with people who seem emotionally unstable or those borrowing because they've made bad choices before. The ideal investment. Your principal is safe, you can get it back if needed, and it earns a fair return. Financing established merchants with good track records is given as a solid example.
Okay, so save, control spending, invest wisely to make money grow, guard it carefully with good advice. What about just, having a roof over your head?
That's covered too. It's the fifth cure. Yeah. Make a Vike dwelling a profitable investment.
Profitable? How so?
The logic is pretty straightforward. The money you pour into rent each month could instead be going towards paying off a mortgage on your own home.
Right, building equity.
Exactly. You turn a regular expense into an asset that actually grows your wealth over time instead of just enriching a landlord.
Makes sense. Turning a cost center into an asset. Okay, looking even further down the road. Planning for the future.
That's the sixth cure. Ensure a future income.
Mm-hmm.
This is all about planning for when you might not be able to work anymore, old age. Or making sure your family is okay if something happens to you unexpectedly.
So like retirement planning and life insurance?
Essentially, yes. It requires setting up a separate dedicated savings plan for the long term or using appropriate insurance tools. It's about foresight.
It feels like building those protective walls you mentioned earlier, the walls of Babylon, but for your finances.
That's a perfect analogy. The texts explicitly use the city's walls as a metaphor for protection.
Hmm.
They compare those ancient stone walls to modern, impregnable walls of insurance, savings accounts, and dependable investments.
Hmm.
These are what guard you and your family against unexpected disasters and hardship later in life. It's about creating that security so you can focus on building wealth without constant fear.
Okay, so we've got saving, controlling spending, investing, guarding it, owning your home, planning for the future. Is there anything about actually increasing the amount coming in the first place?
Absolutely. That's the seventh and final cure. Increase thy ability to earn.
Ah, boosting your income.
Yes. And it's not passive. It's about actively looking for ways to earn more. This could mean learning new skills, getting more education or training, being more dedicated in your current job, maybe even making a strategic career change.
Does it have to mean changing careers? Can you increase earnings where you are?
The texts strongly suggest yes for most people. Improvement is often possible right in your current profession through, and I like this phrasing, increased desire coupled with persistence, concentration, and more wisdom.
So really committing to being better at what you do.
Exactly. Continuous learning, getting better, becoming more valuable.
This seems to tie back into that idea of luck we talked about earlier, creating your own luck.
It does, directly. That whole concept of the luckiest man in Babylon isn't about random cham falling on someone. It's about people actively creating favorable situations for themselves through hard work and being prepared.
Like the camel trader story.
Yes. The message there is, where determination is, the way can be found. Hard work isn't seen as drudgery. It's called a best friend.
A best friend? How so?
Because it builds your confidence, improves your skills, and it tends to attract other hardworking, successful people, which naturally leads to more opportunities. There's a great quote, "I am glad that work is not reserved for slaves. Nothing takes the place of work."
Diligence pays off and opens doors. Okay, now before someone can really jump into all these wealth-building steps, there's often a big elephant in the room, debt. Does the text address that?
Oh, it addresses it head on. And the language is powerful. It says someone struggling under the burden of debt lacks any ability to think rationally and to accumulate wealth.
Wow, that's strong.
It is. The message is crystal clear. Getting out from under significant debt is pretty much a prerequisite. You need to tackle that before you can effectively start building long-term wealth.
Okay, so how do they offer a way out? You mentioned the clay tablets.
Yes, there's a specific, very disciplined plan laid out for someone who's deep in debt.
You still save your 110th. Always.
Even when you're in debt.
Yes. This is crucial. It's for your future prosperity, but maybe more importantly, it provides hope. It builds self-respect. Even in a tough situation, you're not just digging out, you're also building up simultaneously.
Okay, save 10%. What about the rest?
Step 2. You use 7/10, 70% for all your necessary living expenses. You have to budget tightly here.
Right.
Step 3. The remaining 210th, 20% goes directly to paying off your debts.
Just 20% for all debts. How does that work?
You divide that 20% among all your creditors, pro rata. You pay everyone something regularly and consistently. The insight here is that most creditors actually prefer a reliable, structured payment plan, even if it's small amounts, over just letting the situation drag on indefinitely. It shows commitment.
Okay, 10% savings, 70% living, 20% debt repayment. It sounds tough but structured.
It is tough, but the beauty is once the debts are finally paid off, you're already used to living on just 70% of your income.
Ah, so you can suddenly boost your savings rate.
Exactly. You could potentially jump to saving 30% or more, really accelerating your wealth building. The texts are very firm on this. Bad luck follows people who think more about borrowing than repaying. Dealing with debt really shows your character.
A clear path out, leading to faster progress later. We touched on luck before, but the texts bring up good luck again near the end. How is it viewed this time?
It's viewed through the lens of action and opportunity. The core idea is good luck comes to the person who accepts opportunity.
So it's not random.
Not really. It contrasts the person who is prepared, decisive, and ready to act, someone who jumps at whatever business propositions are presented, with the person who hesitates, procrastinates, waits too long.
That Babylonian proverb about the river captures this perfectly, doesn't it?
It really does. Pitch him into the Euphrates, and as not, he will swim out with a pearl in his hand. It's such a vivid image. It suggests that opportunity favors the active, the prepared, the person who's already in the water, so to speak.
Hmm.
Good things don't just happen randomly. You put yourself in a position to recognize and grab opportunities, often because you've done the groundwork.
Action attracts luck. Okay, so let's try and pull all this ancient wisdom together. It boils down to those 7 cures.
That's the core framework, yes. 1, start saving that 10%. Start thy purse to fattening. 2, control your spending. Live on less than you earn. 3, make your savings grow through wise investing. Make thy gold multiply. 4, guard your capital from loss. Get good advice. 5, make your home an asset, not just an expense. 6, ensure your future income. Plan for the long term. And 7, constantly work to increase your ability to earn more.
It sounds so straightforward when you list them like that.
It is straightforward, and that's presented as their power. These aren't complex financial derivatives, they're fundamental principles built up over generations. The texts also stress that building wealth this way shouldn't be miserable. It should feel like an exciting and adventurous project. You should enjoy the journey.
Like building that golden stream they talk about, a steady flow into your purse, built steadily through knowledge and purpose, not by chasing long shots.
Exactly, and always remembering why you're doing it. Money, in this ancient view, isn't the ultimate goal. It's the tool, the means to achieve your dreams, your ambitions for your life. These principles from Babylon offer a time-tested path to make that happen.
So a final thought for you listening. Think about these 7 principles, these simple ideas from thousands of years ago. Which one feels like the biggest hurdle, the biggest challenge for you right now in your own life? And maybe more importantly, what's just one tiny, concrete step you could take this week to start putting that principle into action?